What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Anthony McLemore, and in this video I want to talk a little bit about credit cards. Now, typically credit cards have been something I've tried to avoid here on the channel because it can be a little bit taboo to some people. Some people, Dave Ramsey, think that credit cards are the devil. Now, I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than Dave Ramsey by any means, because obviously I have a lot to learn, but I do think there are some unique and beneficial qualities to credit cards that not everyone knows about. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer here. When you're dealing with credit cards, or when you're dealing with anything with other people's money, is going to be inherently risky. You are almost relying on your own self-control in order to not let things get out of hand. But if you do have good discipline and you do have a good level of self-control, the things we're going to talk about in this video will really help you accelerate your finances and help you be a millionaire, as the title says. So if you haven't met already, as I said, my name is Anthony McLemore. I like to make videos about personal finance, investing, wealth building, pretty much all things money. I'm here to talk about it. And speaking of money, if you do want to make a little bit of free money yourself, then go ahead down in the description below, click on the link to sign up to public, and when you sign up and create an account, you will get a free fractional share of a stock of about 9 different stocks of your choosing. I've been doing this for a while, and they've so far paid me about $400 worth of stocks. So go ahead and get your free money. But let's get into talk about credit cards. Are credit cards really evil, or can you actually use them to build wealth? So first and foremost, for the beginners, let's talk about simply and quickly how credit cards work. Basically, what credit cards, or what a credit line is an access to money that you don't currently have, with the promise that you will pay it back at a later date in either installments or either in a full payment balance at the end of that payment period. And how this works is that for every dollar that you use and don't pay back, you would then be charged a pretty high interest rate in order to have had access to that money. Now, typically these interest rates for credit cards can be anywhere from 25 to 35% on an annual basis, meaning that if you borrow $1 and you don't pay it back for a full year, at the end of that year you will have been then owed that credit card company $1.35. Now, this doesn't sound that big when you're talking about $1, but when you're talking about $1,000, instead of owing $1,000 at the end of the year, you will owe $350 more, or $1,350 if it does have a 35% interest rate. However, if you're someone who doesn't hold a credit card balance, you can pretty much waive the interest rate fee because you won't be paying it, but you still will be getting all the benefits of having a credit card. Now, what are those benefits exactly, and how can it make me a millionaire? Anthony, stop beating around the bush. Well, let's get right into that. The first way a credit card can make you a millionaire is through compound interest, and not in a negative way. So a lot of these credit cards, including some of my favorites, have this beautiful feature called cash back, meaning that credit cards will actually give you money to make the purchase that you were pretty much already going to make in the first place. One of my favorite credit cards to use is the Chase Freedom Unlimited card, and it gives you 1.5% cash back on every purchase that you make. So if I was going to spend $1,000 on anything this month, even if it's just for bills or if I had planned on it, if I use my Chase Freedom Unlimited card, I would get 1.5% of that purchase back in cash, or about $15 if you want to put a dollar figure on that. And the way that this can actually make you a millionaire is that if you add up those cash back points and then you throw a little bit more investment on top of it, you can then invest your extra money that you receive on a monthly basis in order to have that money compound for you and then allow you to be a millionaire. If you don't think I'm being truthful, let me give you a little bit of math to back this up. If you start out with an initial balance of just $100 and you invested $250 a month in an S&P 500 index fund, if you do this every single month, in about 25 years, you will have an account balance of $1 million before adjusting for inflation. Now, $250 a month doesn't sound like all that much when you're talking about getting a $1 million figure in the future someday. And this all can start with a little bit of cash back. But cash back isn't the only way that you can make a little bit of money from credit cards. You can also get travel points to save money on traveling if you do a lot of that anyway. And some credit cards even give you allowances for services like Lyft and Uber that will save money on gas, that can also give you more money in your pocket that you can then invest or stash away for a future date. But let's say, Anthony, 25 years is too long for me to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire much quicker than that, and I need to find a way to do that. Is there a way to do that with credit cards? And I'm here to say, absolutely there is. The second way that you can become a millionaire by using credit cards is by using a credit card to start a business. Now, this one inherently has much more risk than just using the credit card to fund your everyday purchases. However, there are some companies that specifically issue credit cards in order to start a small business. And the way that this can make you a millionaire is that you use your credit card with the promise to pay the money back, of course, in order to get all of the initial equipment that you need to get your business up and running. Whether you need your own separate location, whether you need lights and cameras or any other equipment to start your business, you can place all these purchases on a credit card, which will then be tax deductible in order to get your business up and running. Now, I do have to say, you want to make sure that you have a really solid business model of how you're going to be generating income before you even think about this. Don't be one of those people that dive headfirst into debt with the hopes of making money without actually having a plan of making that money. Because if you do this and you use your credit card to actually make these purchases, then more than likely likely you'll be worse off than when you started and have a ton more debt that you need to pay back from a business that never had a chance in the first place. As I do in a lot of my videos, I relate a lot of things back to this YouTube channel. So if I was strapped for cash and just needed a little bit of a boost to get started on this YouTube channel, honestly, I don't see a big deal in putting a couple purchases on a credit card, like for the camera or for this microphone, and then make payments over the course of 6 months in order to pay that back. However, I would make sure that my channel was monetized first so I had some income coming in, or I would make sure that I was making enough extra money from another source in order to cover those purchases just in case I didn't make any money. And the beauty about starting a business or just being an entrepreneur in general is that you have no ceiling on your income. You have no limit on how much you can make. It is simply determined about how much work you want to put in. You see these posters behind me that are always hanging pretty crooked that says hustle, grind, and execution. Hustle is the only controllable pillar of success. How much hustle you have is not determined by how much talent you have. It is not determined by how much money you have. The amount of hustle you have is only determined by the amount of effort that you want to put in. Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, but not everyone does the same thing with those 24 hours. The second thing I have behind me is a poster called grind. It's to do repetitive tasks over and over again in order to achieve your desired result. This one is self-explanatory, so let's move on to the third one I have, which is execution, which is to stop talking and put in the work. If I was to relate this back to YouTube once again, it's to stop thinking about posting and actually start a channel and start posting videos. So starting a business with a credit card could absolutely make you a millionaire one day. There just is a little bit more uncertainty and you have to put in a lot more work, but the fruits of your labor could be really, really generous. However, let's move on to the third way that you can become a millionaire using credit cards. And this is actually more of an indirect way you become a millionaire, but that is by using a credit card, you actually get a higher credit score. Now, having a high credit score is important for a few reasons. The first reason is that with a high credit score, you are likely to get a lower rate on loans that you look to take out. Whether it's a home mortgage loan or an investment loan, you will be paying less in interest simply because you have a higher credit score. Now, first, let's talk about how having a credit card gets you a higher credit score. So your credit score is determined by a number of factors, but one of the most important factors is your length of your credit history and your number of on-time payments. Now, to make this really simple, the longer you have an active credit card that you've been making on-time payments on, the higher your credit score will be. Someone who has 10 years worth of credit history and never missed a payment will have a much higher credit score than some 18-year-old who just opened an account last week. That is because they have that background of good payments. They have built that trust with their credit provider and they know that they are trustworthy and responsible with their finances. So because of that, if that person wants to go to some bank and borrow $250,000, they will likely get a much lower interest rate than that same 18-year-old who wanted to borrow the same amount of money. Now, I've seen this in my personal life multiple times. When I got a car loan on my first car, which was a Jeep Cherokee, my interest rate on that car at 18 years old was almost 7%. Now, at the time, I thought that was a great deal because I was getting $12,000 in order to get this brand new car, but little did I know that I was being eaten alive compared to some of my peers in terms of interest rate. Now, later on in life, when I went and got my second car, I got an interest rate of below 3% simply because I had a much higher credit score. Now, how exactly this can make you a millionaire is that if you didn't want to use your lower interest rate in order to get an investment loan on a rental property, you will be able to get more cash flow for your money because you're paying less in interest to the bank. If you want to get a home mortgage loan with your new lower interest rate, you will be paying less out of pocket for your mortgage, which will allow you to have more money to invest, which leads me back to the first tip I talked about. By consistently investing, you will become a millionaire simply by putting money away and letting it sit there and compound year over year. So honestly, I don't think that having a credit card is a bad thing as many people make it out to be. Some people, like Dave Ramsey, for example, do get burned by having too much leverage, but I think that is a consequence of not having enough discipline. Dave Ramsey is very, very disciplined with his finances now. I am actually a big fan of him and I love watching his videos of him giving advice to other people. But if you do want to expose yourself to more opportunities and you do want to take the chance that you won't give in to temptation when it really matters, if you have a $10,000 credit limit, if you want to take the chance that you won't spend all $10,000 in 1 year, then open up a credit card and allow those benefits to work for you. As I said, if you have a $10,000 credit limit and you buy $10,000 worth of stuff in that same month, if you pay that off by the end of that month, you won't be paying anything with interest. And honestly, more than likely, you probably already are using a debit card right now. And with a debit card, as you know, if you make a purchase, that money will be immediately deducted from your account. So if you use a credit card just like it were a debit card and you only spend the money that you actively have in your account, so you know you'll be able to pay it off, then you won't run any risk of being over leveraged or not being able to make your credit card payment. But honestly, a lot of people do fall into the trap of getting in too much credit card debt simply because they can't control themselves. And if you want to know some fairly easy ways to get out of credit card debt with some fairly easy steps, then make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more new videos. However, with all that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to go down into the description and sign up to Public to get your free stock. And if you're feeling really lucky, you can sign up to WeBull as well, where you get 2 free stocks if you sign up and deposit $100. However, thank you for staying to the end of this video, and I hope you have a very wonderful rest of your day.